What is up, guys? We are back on Call of the Wild, back on Mississippi, trying to find diamonds in what has pretty much been a barren map so far. We have produced no diamonds off this map since starting new games, so hopefully we run across something worth our time. So let's get to it. I saw a raccoon there, but we're just gonna kind of work our way around because we still got some of the map we need to unlock. So we're gonna do that while we are looking for these diamonds, and hopefully we come across something. Ugh. So how are you guys doing? Also, this is time of recording this Friday, so I'm gearing up for another Saturday of just disappointment from not just my team, but also just college football as a whole. This is going to turn into a rant if I keep going, but the fact that we're at a time now where these kids are driving Lamborghinis and everything else, like, yeah, that's the easy stuff to pick on, but like, it has absolutely ruined the idea of amateurism in football as a whole. And it's happening not even just, apparently, it's not even happening just in college football. It's happening in high school football. Like the Tennessee kid, Nico, that dude was a multimillionaire in high school. And I know that ESPN will continue to push this idea that I'm supposed to be fine with it, but I don't know. Saw me a rabbit just a second ago, but if it's a male, I don't think they make diamonds, so really kind of looking for quail. But yeah, guys, like ESPN has been kind of just, they turned the idea of kids getting paid to play football, which on the surface, we can argue that all you want, what the effect it's going to have on the sport, what effect it's going to have on the kids, on the coaches, and stuff like that. But ESPN somehow turned people getting paid to play football when they're already going to school for free. They're already getting free food. They're already getting free room and board. Their books are free. The stuff that when I was in college cost a ton of money, they're getting all that for free. And then to top it all off, we're supposed to thank them for doing that, and we're supposed to view the fact that they weren't getting paid as a civil rights issue. This is absolutely crazy. And every time you can see it on the face when you're watching football nowadays on Saturdays, you can see the guys that are former analysts, or former players, and the analysts. There's such a disconnect. The former players hate this new movement. You can see it. I was watching SEC Network the other day, and it's some random who clearly never played the sport, and Booger McFarland. And Booger McFarland is sitting there. Ooh, okay, we got some quail. Booger McFarland is sitting there saying, like, this is not the sport I played. This is not the same thing. And he's like, well, Booger, you got to get over it. It's the new way. These former players know what damage this is doing to college football. Even if they work for ESPN and they're supposed to pretend like they're all for it, they know what's up. They understand. There's a reason why Nick Saban's not a coach anymore. There's a reason why Jim Harbaugh got out. There's a reason why good coaches are leaving. And it's because these kids are now multimillionaires and they don't want to listen to a coach. Hell, they have more freedom in college than they do in the NFL. At least in the NFL, there's a contract that they have to live up to, right? Like, if you were to sit out, like they were talking about Brandon Ayuk sitting out with the Niners. If he had sat out, he wouldn't have been a year closer to free agency. There's a requirement that you have to fulfill your obligation. In college football, between NIL coupled with the transfer portal, it's basically unwatchable. It's garbage. And ESPN will sit there and keep telling me what a great movement this is, and thank God we paid these kids. And on top of all of that, The transfer portal, because they removed the rules, these kids are just transferring 4 or 5 times now, whenever they feel like it, whenever they don't get the playing time. What kind of development is that going to lead to? And obviously, nothing really signifies this current trend in college football quite the way Dion does, and just Colorado as a whole. But even Dion has pointed out how stupid some of this crap is. Even Dion pointed out that college football in 2024 ran Nick Saban into retirement. And then I hear these asinine takes from people like Reggie Bush, great example. Okay, Reggie Bush came out and he talked about Nick Saban retiring, right? And just so you guys know, I'm not a Bama fan. I went to Auburn. I am never going to pull for Bama. But they started attacking Nick Saban in Alabama, and according to Reggie Bush, he tweeted out, "It's not fun when the rabbit has the gun," as if this leveled the playing field. If anything, schools like Alabama and Texas and schools with a ton of money now have infinitely more power. So what an asinine, stupid comment by Reggie Bush, who, by the way, cheated. According to Reggie Bush, the idea of, okay, we can pay players now, so it leveled the playing field. Does that mean when you were cheating, when USC was cheating, was that a level playing field when they were playing San Jose State and smoking them? Obviously, the answer is no. But this is the kind of BS we're always going to get from ESPN and the handful of the Shannon Sharps of the world who took the idea of a kid who's already spoiled, already being handed everything. Here's a free college education. Here's free room and board. Here's a trip to the NFL. Even if you don't make the NFL, you can fall back on this degree. You can get free food, free housing, everything in the world handed to you, and people like Shannon Sharp thinks they didn't get enough. So this is the type of BS we can expect going forward in college football, and it makes me absolutely sick. And I'm sitting here trying to hunt, but like, God, it's every Saturday. I watch Auburn, right? And I watch them, and I watch most of the SEC pretty consistently. But if you do, you'll eventually they'll start introducing the rosters, right? And every roster, they're going to say, this guy, he's a transfer, second-year transfer from here. This guy's a second-year transfer from here. Everybody built their whole team on the portal. And I'm supposed to sit here and act like that's a good thing? Auburn's whole offense is built around Keandre Lambert-Smith. Transfer. Georgia's whole running game is built on ETN. Transfer. Bama built the part of their offensive line is Proctor, who transferred to and from between Iowa and Alabama 4 or 5 times. But yeah, let them keep telling you it's a good thing. If you believe for a second that college football is in a better place now than it was in before NIL and before the transfer portal, then you're a sheep. You're going to sit there and you're going to believe everything ESPN tells you. So you probably also believe LeBron James is the GOAT. You probably also believe that Pat McAfee is worth every dime they give him. You believe ESPN's in a fine place. Game day's great. You are 100% the problem with sports because you're so easily manipulated. Because anybody who was watching football a few years ago, they're all perfectly aware of how much the quality has declined. In particular, things like the regular season. This is not even counting NIL and transfer portal, which I just talked about. Everything wrong with that. But let's talk about the playoff. College football was great because the regular season was the best regular season in the world. You actually had to give a shit. Kind of the same way with like European soccer. You have to give a shit. But if you're going to let, what is it now, 12 teams in the playoff? One of them's not even from the Power 5 conferences. One of them is going to be an at-large team. And that made college football better? No, it definitely did not. It definitely diminished the regular season. Rivalries don't matter anymore because God knows, like, okay, here's going to be a good example, right? Alabama and Auburn. Auburn's going to have a down year this year. Bama's going to come in and they may have a shot at the playoff. As we got a hog coming, but I don't see him. Let's collect the one we did get. But if you're coming into that Iron Bowl, right, or the SEC championship, why would you play your starters if you know you're going to go, right? Why would you do that? So rivalries, that makes them dead. Conference championships, they're pretty much over and done with. And also, just as far as money is concerned, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If you're in the comments and you're listening, then correct me if I'm wrong. Before NIL and transfer portal, when was the last time Texas was good? Texas was a perpetual mess. Right? Remember the Charlie Strong years? Yeah. Muschamp, the whole run at Texas. And then they go get Sarkisian, who's on like chance number 15, 16. Bring him in. And he just lucks into the fact that now you're the head coach of the wealthiest school in America. So we can just buy players. And they do. I would imagine that probably in the next 10 years, we can pretty much write down that we're going to be seeing teams like Texas, teams like, SMU's even back in the top 25 now. Texas A&M will be back in there. The Texas schools have so much money, and they're going to throw it into football. You know this is going to happen, and yet the NCAA has been so toothless in enforcing anything, any kind of rules at all on college football. And it's taken a sport that I used to have as my favorite sport to watch, better than the NFL, better than the NBA, and you've made it completely unwatchable. And it's been your ineffectiveness as an organization, the NCAA. But on top of that, it's been the ESPN has ran cover for you as a media outlet. Because God knows they love the idea of all these kids getting paid and able to leave when they're not getting paid enough. I don't know. It absolutely drives me insane, the fact that this is where we're at a point where a free college education, when everyone's begging for some college tuition relief, you're getting it for free, and yet you still have the audacity to sit there and bitch and act like you're a second-class citizen. It's absolutely insane. And they're lying to people who've never went to college, guys, because I'm going to be honest with you, I did go to college, and I saw the way that the athletes were treated at a major university or the major college football program. They're treated like gods. They're treated like kings. They had nothing to complain about, and yet they still cried poor mouth, and they cried that they were absolutely being taken advantage of by these big schools. God, it makes me so mad. And what makes me even madder is if you're in the comments and you agree, that's great. And like, I'm glad that we're on the same page. I think a lot of people in the non-traditional media would be in the same page. But the national media and the sheep who'll sit there and listen to the national media, they're the problem, okay? They're the ones that will sit there and believe this BS that these kids are being taken advantage of. So we got some turkeys up here. But they're so good at pretending like they're being taken advantage of. That this was some big March on Washington moment when the kid from Northwestern sued the NCAA. But on the flip side, like, I mean, we're suffering because there's a terrible product out there now. But the NCAA, no sympathy for them because they're the failures that let it all happen. I mean, between the playoff making regular season useless, between the transfer portal making loser teams all of a sudden winners, and between NIL making sure that the wealthiest schools in America remain the top football programs in America. Why the hell would you watch this? I can't watch it. And like part of that, yeah, you could say, well, your team is down this year. Well, they definitely are. I mean, but they're doing better in the thing that matters, and that's recruiting. But I still don't care because we're still just going to, if we, next year, with the amount of talent Auburn has, if Auburn wants to play the game and do it correctly in today's landscape, they will go find them a transfer quarterback. And that transfer quarterback, coupled with all that talent, will pretty much erase any problems Auburn has. And I do imagine that other schools who are struggling at certain positions, that's all they got to do now. So forget coaching, forget development, just go find you a free agent. That's what these kids are out there looking for, money and playing time for more money. And I don't know if the NCAA's who's going to have to wrangle this stuff in. I don't know if it's going to be the boosters because eventually these boosters are going to start getting smart. It's already happening. There's already lawsuits about it. But eventually these boosters are going to start getting smart and they're going to start screwing these kids over. But then again, these kids are acting like whores. So, I mean, who am I to tell the booster that don't take advantage of these kids? They're taking advantage of them. And you're not a poor college kid anymore. You're a professional athlete. And professionals are aware that they get screwed. Go ask Drew Bledsoe how valuable he was when he got hurt. And that's been the story for professionals forever. Go ask Derrick Rose if the money looked the same after the knee injury. Go ask Todd Gurley. But that's what's going to happen to these college kids. They're going to try to take advantage of these programs, and eventually the programs are like, why am I going to keep paying you? You're hurt all the time. And they're going to start cutting kids. They're going to start getting rid of kids because they don't have any reason to be loyal to the kids because the kids ain't loyal. I don't know. It's absolutely, it's a mess. And then when you complain about it, people on ESPN and stuff's like, well, I'm hearing a lot of complaining. I'm not hearing a lot of solutions. Well, it's kind of like when you have a kid, right? As we got a rabbit. But you have a kid and you tell the kid, hey, don't make a mess, okay? Please don't make a mess. If you don't make a mess, it's going to be super easy to keep the thing clean. But the minute they make a mess, then it becomes an issue, right? So it's easy for me to say, I was there telling everybody that I knew that this was a bad idea, and everyone who was a college football fan knew it was a bad idea. But now that the mess has been made, and now they won't help cleaning it up from the people who didn't want the mess to begin with. And there's sellouts. There's so many people who at first fought it, and now that they understand that this is the new way the world's going to work, especially the ones who have jobs at ESPN and Fox Sports 1 and places like that, they're 100% going to sit there and, well, guys, I was against this at first, but now I see the benefits. Paul Feinbaum, perfect example of it. Perfect example of it. Because he knows the damage that it's doing to college football. But he also knows that ESPN writes them checks. Even when you're at a time where Deion Sanders, the guy who, if anything, this is the guy that's kind of at the forefront of this whole thing. Dion is pointing out how these kids are becoming pros and how it's ruining the sport of college football. Dion knows. So if Deion Sanders can point it out, and Booger McFarland, and Marcus Spears, and all these former players, when they can point it out, Tim Tebow will point it out. If they can point it out, then why is it that you are against the kid if anybody else points it out, you know? If anybody in the media pointed out that they were against NIL and all this other stuff, they would be absolutely hammered by ESPN and everybody else that works there about how you're just trying to take money from these kids. Well, yeah. Or at least put rules, caps, something to keep these kids from absolutely ruining the sport that's paying them. And I don't even blame the kids, guys. Like, the kids, like, if I was 17, 18, like Ryan Williams from Alabama, 17 years old. If I was him, of course I'm going to want the money. Absolutely, I'm going to take the money. I'm not an idiot. But it's also not, I'm not going to put the onus on a 17-year-old to understand what he's doing to a economy. The economy that was college football is absolutely, the table has been turned over. And there's not really any way to fix it that I can think of, because it's like anything else. Once you give someone something, the idea of you taking it back from them or limiting it in any way is just going to be instantly unpopular. Let me take another lookout point. But it does, guys. It drives me absolutely crazy. And let's see. All right, we'll take this point. Right here is where you're going to find a lot of Gators, guys. If you're listening for Call of the Wild, this is just trying to do a little hunt for the Diamonds on Mississippi and trying to let this be a Call of the Wild. But just every Saturday, it just builds and builds and builds. Every Saturday, just the disillusionment with the sport that used to be the best sport America had to offer. Oh, well, that was cathartic. Yeah, let's get back to the hunt and just try not to think about that. 302-pound or kilogram gators. It's a small fella who's apparently I'm about to run right up on. This is a different one. There she is. Stay there. Did I even get a good shot? That one was definitely a better shot. Too bad she's just a small girl. We did get a pie bot off this map. Both of them. Yeah, it looks like both of them were vital shots. We did get a pie bot off this map the other day, pie bot gold, and that was pretty sick. Also, if you're walking around here, you can kind of hear the gators getting in the water, so it'll spook you sometimes. All right, let's just walk around this lake and see what we can find. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, guys. It's just, I mean, we cover different topics while we're doing these hunts a lot of time, or at least that's the plan. We covered the Army in one. We did talk Call of the Wild when we were hunting Tay the other day, but yeah, this one's going to be a little bit more of a sports rant, which I don't mind doing. I'm going to warn you, it may happen from time to time on these hunts. Because there's a lot of things that drive me crazy about Call of the Wild, and I don't mind calling out Call of the Wild, but yeah, they're not the only ones that know how to mess up a good thing. I'd say Call of the Wild has done a much better job than most things about keeping on top. I mean, like I've said this before, guys, this game has been in control of a market for years now, so I don't have too much negative to say about them other than little nitpicking things like make the Tigers less aggressive on Sundar Patan. Oh, let's see. We got a bear. I kind of want to do a Great One bear grind on this map. I'm not going to lie to you. But I think they drink this river, and that kind of suck. Can I cross it? It's always the question on Mississippi. But also, any guy who disagrees with me, let me know in the comment section. Tell me why the NIL isn't ruining college football. Tell me why the transfer portal is not ruining college football. Explain to me why a 12-team playoff doesn't absolutely nerf the idea of a competitive regular season. Because I definitely don't see it, but maybe you guys are smarter than me and you can sit here and explain to me why it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. Why is it this popular? Oh, crap. That's that female gay we saw earlier. Did I just... Okay. I definitely did. How did that happen? Oh, I guess we just crossed like that. Okay, that makes sense. Switch. I don't think... Gators never go as aggressive as Crocs, but... There she is. They will give you money. I'll give them that. That's the nice thing about Crocs and Gators. They will produce some money. But I do need to get back to those fields, like down here, and see if I can't find some quail. But quail's always more fun to hunt when you have the cacciatore unlocked, guys. If you haven't ever played with the game with the cacciatore, it is an absolute game changer for shotguns on the game. I do not see that gator that just called over here. Ah, well, there it is. Well, that was horrifying. Just run right up on him. Well, I pretty much depopulated this place of gators. I think we killed 3. This is actually where I killed my first gator in this game, is this little flooded area. He ran across here. Also, because this is a wetland, you can hear stuff move as a turkey flies overhead. And we got deer. Still nothing to write home about with the deer and the turkeys. So the deer are just chilling, and that turkey's 190 yards and fleeing from me, so that makes sense. We'll take this outpost and, yeah, we'll probably take this outpost and call it. Did a little bit of gator hunting. Still no diamonds yet on Mississippi, which is kind of disappointing, but, you know, sometimes for diamonds, it's best if, and we also have a lot of this map we still haven't even looked at, so I think my dream, well, obviously I actually want an eastern wild turkey. That seems like a weird dream animal. Like, wouldn't you want to Diamond Gator? Well, yeah, it would. But the eastern turkey is the one species of turkey on this game I don't have in diamond, so like that would kind of be at the top of my list. And then maybe a great one, whitetail. Yep, maybe a great one, whitetail. There are always those people, if you have a fresh map, who get an initial spawn great one. Those folks, I wish one of these days, I'm going to be that guy. One of these days. A new map comes out with a new great one, I'm definitely starting a grind instantly to try to find it. You know? I wasn't streaming back when the other great ones I'm missing came out, so I mean, we could do grinds for those too. But we'll see this update on November 19th if we're going to get a new great one and a new map. And if we do, the grind will start day one. And by the time I find a great one, there'll be someone that's already probably found like 3 or 4 of them on a PC. I refuse to believe it's just as hard to grind on a PC as it is a console. Yep. So we still got a lot of this map to go. But anyways, guys, I think we're going to cut it short. We did a little bit of gator hunting. We did a little bit of college football talk. So, yeah, I think this is where we're going to end up breaking it. So, until next time, guys, I've been Prince Pyramid, and you guys have a good one.